Welcome to this month's Astronomy Tidbits with Steve Layman of the Charlottesville Astronomical Society. We are going to talk about things of the night sky in October. Woohoo! That's my favorite month. It's cool and it's beautiful outside. Steve, is there anything great to see?
And it's your birthday.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right
we've got lots of great things, and I'm actually going to share my screen here. Let's see, I want to go to here. And so one of the cool things that we've got coming up in the month of March is a close approach of Mars. These happen roughly every 2 years. And just to give you an idea of the size of the Earth and Mars in comparison, you can see here in this digitized picture of the two side by side that Mars is probably, I would call that maybe about a third of the size of the Earth. And the Mars opposition and closest approach, I'm going to drag this out of the way in case it's in the way, happens on October 6th this year. So the planets do not rotate around the sun in a perfect circle. And so we've got a little bit of a flattened circle for both the Earth and Mars. And so every couple of years, when the planet Mars gets on the opposite side of the Earth from the sun, we call that opposition. And in this area between here and here are the spots where we have the closest passes. Oops, let me back up. Closest passes simply means that because the planet is closer than it would normally be, it's going to be easier to see both with the naked eye in binoculars and with a telescope. In this graphic on the right, you can see what some of the closest approaches in the 21st century are going to be. And I don't know why this graphic left out the one this coming week, but it falls roughly in this area between the one of September 2082 and September 2035. So again, it's in that area of one of the closer approaches. One of the things that you often hear when you hear that Mars is going to be making a close approach to the Earth is what's referred to by astronomers as the Mars hoax. Mars is not going to appear in your night sky nearly the size of the moon, as is shown in the image on the left. A really great example of what Mars looks like in comparison to the moon in the night sky is in the image on the right. And you get a little bit of perspective of size of things from a tree line on the Earth and the clouds, full moon, and a bright full planet Mars, but definitely not anywhere near the size of the Earth. Just to give you an idea, our last closest approach was July 31st, 2018. I remember being really excited about that one, going out and buying a special filter for my telescope to be able to see some of the darker areas on Mars, some of the topography. And as Mars, or as July dawned that year, a dust storm started to cover the planet. And by the time we got to the closest approach, you couldn't see anything. Mars was just a great big white, orange ball of dust. There was a planet-wide dust storm. We're hoping that that's not going to happen this year. And as a matter of fact, that there's no sign of that right now. So this is how the comparison of the sizes would have, I'm having trouble today. Back up. Comparison of the sizes. This is what Mars would have looked like if it wouldn't have been all dusty on July 31st, 2018. And you can see that we're a little farther away. about 38.6 million miles as opposed to 35.8. So you're still going to be able to see some detail in a small telescope, and maybe of 4 to 6 inches in diameter. Anything bigger than that, more detail, but you're definitely going to be able to see the polar ice caps and some of the areas, the darker areas of Valles Marineris, and some of the high ground on Mars that shows up as darker splotches in the eyepiece. So, what will Mars look like in a small telescope? Oh my gosh, I did not double check this. There is a small dot under the picture of the Curiosity rover. Kathie, I will send you the corrected version of this this PowerPoint, because basically what I had was a picture of what the planet Mars would look like in a small telescope. So it won't look like the Curiosity or Mars 2020 rover.
I was gonna say, is that close-up vision or what?
Sorry about that. Just goes to show that you need to spend time double and triple checking your PowerPoint.
It's okay.
Anyway, on October 6th, Mars is going to be roughly 38 million miles from the Earth. And, you know, if we're sending a signal to one of our satellites or rovers on the ground, the light travel time is about 3 minutes one way. So that's why when you get a space mission that heads to Mars, when it gets out there, you cannot control it in real time. You're having to send a signal, and it takes 3 minutes or a little bit longer, depending on the distance, just to get one way, and another 3 minutes plus any work time in the computer of whatever you're working with there to do the work. So it's not the kind of thing that you can work live with. So that's why we send our satellites and our rovers up with computers and enough artificial intelligence to be able to get by for chunks of time without having anybody on the Earth actually pushing the buttons. Cool things about October in the night sky: the full moon, October 1st, tomorrow night, I believe, is the harvest moon. Remember, we've talked about the fact that all of the moons have been given names either by Native Americans or other different geographic groups. Harvest moon, probably obvious because real bright moon, you could stay out late and harvest your crops. So certainly before we had electricity and tractors with lights on, you could still be out there cutting corn and bringing in the soybeans at say 9 o'clock with a really bright moon showing. Orionid meteor shower, October 2nd through the 7th. Remember that meteor showers are best seen after midnight, and meteor showers are named for the constellation from which the meteors seem to radiate. So I think most folks are familiar with Orion the Hunter. Orion the Hunter is going to be poking his head up in our night skies come mid to late November. Right now, he's still up after midnight. So if you're out looking for meteors, you're going to want to find a dark spot away from certainly as many lights as you can, maybe a lounge chair or a chase lounge or something like that, or a nice thick blanket to put on the ground, and just kind of look straight up and keep your eyes kind of open and focused in the distance, and hopefully you'll have the opportunity to see a couple of meters. They're going to be a few an hour, but the problem that we have is, remember that the full moon is October 1st, so for the first chunk of this, we're going to be dealing with an awful lot of extra light from the moon, which tends to wash out a lot of the meteors. The other cool thing about October is that we've got a blue moon. And a month with a blue moon is when you have a second full moon in the month. And that second full moon in the month is going to be on October 31st. So one of those rare blue moon months. And our birthdays happen to be in that month this month.
I'm very excited too because it's
It
Halloween.
is, that's right, it's Halloween. So, you know, we're under kind of some really strange times these days. So certainly if you're out there Halloweening or passing out candy, be safe, but enjoy that blue moon.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I've got for this month. Those are the cool. Oh, one other thing that I did want to show folks. We've got a number of missions that are at Mars right now, since we were talking about Mars. InSight Lander has been there now for about 2 years. And it's a mission that is dealing with the geology of Mars. There's actually a probe that is being hammered into the ground to measure Mars quakes. The MAVEN satellite is in orbit around Mars, and it is dealing with atmospheric chemistry, trying to figure out what happened to Mars's original atmosphere. We know at one point Mars had more of an atmosphere and a thicker atmosphere. The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter has been around since, I think, 2005. It's one of the oldest missions that we have at Mars. It's been taking images of the entire planet over and over. So it's been helping us to get a really great picture of what the surface of Mars looks like. Curiosity rover is certainly still working up there. Mars Odyssey is another one of those missions that has been doing some mapping of the surface of Mars. And the Perseverance rover is currently on its way to Mars. And last time I checked, all systems were normal. The spacecraft is just cruising on its way to Mars with things kind of shut down and put to sleep. They'll wake it back up along the way to make some course corrections, getting ready to land next year. So that's Mars for October.
Well, Mars has been pretty busy this year, hasn't it? Haven't we had another country?
China has launched a mission towards Mars, and the European Space Agency was going to launch one, but they, because of some COVID issues, they weren't able to make the launch date. Another real cool thing that people might have heard about recently is that we have found in the atmosphere of Venus some chemical compositions that seem to make it look like perhaps in the clouds of Venus life might be able to form. This would not be life as we know it. This would be microbial life. And there's all sorts of really great information about this on the Planetary Society website. And I think if you just do a search on Venus, all of this has come about in the last couple of weeks. I didn't want to cloud things up too much with all the cool things going on in Mars, but certainly I think the attention of a lot of folks is going to be focused on Venus going forward.
Awesome. I'm pretty sure Carl Sagan would be very excited to hear about this.
Yeah, because you know, I think Carl Sagan was one of the first people to postulate that perhaps in the clouds of Venus there could be a way for life to form or survive. So none of this is definite because, as Carl Sagan said, crazy and advanced kinds of ideas have to have really solid proof. And so what we have now is a postulation, and so now the scientists are going to work with it and trying to prove what other folks have thought might be true.
Well, I think all of that's very exciting. And when you're talking about the full moon, this is also the time of year for naturalists to take advantage of the full moon. There are bird species, passerines that actually fly at night to avoid predation during the day. And we look as naturalists at the full moon with our binoculars and see if there's any silhouettes going by.
Oh, okay.
I find that exciting. Hence the reason why October is my favorite. Full moon.
Ah, all right. Great.
Well, thanks, Steve. That was exciting. That was a lot of tidbits.
Yeah, a lot of stuff happened in October.
All right. And any questions, guys? I'll leave you an email on the YouTube channel if you have any questions or want to know anything further about October 2020.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks. Let's see if we can get back